Hello, friends and football mates here. Welcome to the Bowling Sisters, video number 3. And right now, me and my sister, we both are at the iconic Stamford Bridge Stadium in London. So, hello, sister. How are you doing?
I am good, sister. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. London is great. Stamford Bridge is great. Chelsea looks quite great right now with the kind of transfer news and the transfer talks which we are hearing. So, right now, I think the best person I could have with me, the person who has all the knowledge around the Chelsea inside sources, around the Chelsea transfer markets, and what sort of key areas Chelsea are still focusing on. I feel from an outsider perspective, I feel that Chelsea has already done their transfer business. I think it's done and dusted for them, but still it would be quite intriguing to know from you what sort of news is coming from the London side, the blue half of London.
All right, sister. So it's been a long and grueling season. I believe Chelsea has had their ups and downs, but they have been very smart with the business. Very, very smart. I have to say that. By the end of February, because of the first winter transfer window, post their transfer ban was lifted. People were expecting Chelsea to sign at least a couple. I believe Frank Lampard was desperate at that moment of time to sign a couple of players. But then, unfortunately, as you know, winter transfer window is a curse. The prices are inflated. Nobody wants to leave. Uh, Players are cup bound. So you have to be very, very smart with the kind of transfers you want to do during the window. But then I believe the slack which the Chelsea hierarchy got from the fans, especially. I believe they've learned their lesson, and Maria has been on her toes and being the hard taskmaster and a negotiator, the way what she is. She's with the likes of ZH being transferred in February. The transfer were done and dusted even before anybody could blink. With Liverpool in the hunt, United being in the hunt, City being in the hunt for the guy. Chelsea played Ajax during the Champions League. I believe that was one of the most turning points where he ruled the field. He ruled the field,
Yeah,
and I believe, if I remember correctly, you and I had a discussion about it, of the kind of
yeah,
players Ziyech is and the kind of movements he's been doing. And with the department of and departing Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard has left Chelsea last season. So there has been a gaping hole which Chelsea has been wanting to fill, and this season they tried with the youngsters, with the likes of Mount. We've got Gilmore coming in, we've got Ibrahim there, we've got Fikoi Tomori being there, then we've got Reece James have come in. So there's been a lot of young blood which has been pumped in Chelsea, which we've not seen over a period of time, and young lads coming from the academy. But with a new manager like Frank Lampard being the legend he is, he brought in the youth with the transfer ban as well in the last season. So this season, I believe Chelsea has completed two signings as of now. Number one, you also know that one is Timo Werner from RB Leipzig,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's a prolific striker. And what I hear is he's had 28 to 29 goals in the Bundesliga. He's been a terror over there. Then we've got Ziyech, like I said, from Ajax. There's a lot of transfer talks happening for the past month and a half regarding Kai Havertz. He's an
Right.
interesting player, very, very interesting player. But the price tag which Leverkusen is putting across, it's pretty high. So we have to be so Chelsea has to be very, very skeptical and very careful if they want to pay that much amount. With 80 million pounds as the transfer value, I believe Chelsea is still in it. There's a lot of talks happening with the sources which I hear since Monday. There's been a lot of movement and very major movement happening. There's been the deal in principle between the player on the tenure and the salary which he's going to be drawing. Everything has been agreed. Right now, I believe Maria has stepped into the negotiations since Monday. So
Right.
it is just moving around. So hopefully Chelsea should have this transfer should be closed most probably by next week or maybe a week later. I don't think so. This transfer is going to be dragging too long. With the player made his mind and has informed the Leverkusen hierarchy that he wants to leave Leverkusen and join Chelsea. So that is there.
So
Yeah.
I have a question on that, sister, and I think this is something which we are right now talking about, the kind of players they've signed already, Chelsea, and if I talk about Ziyech and if I talk about Werner and also the probable targets in the coming future, which you rightly mentioned right now. So I have a question on that. That if at all I compare the Chelsea's transfer policy and for the viewers, if you'd like to shed some light on it, that why do you think that Chelsea, when compared with the likes of Manchester City or a likes of Manchester United or a likes of say Liverpool. Uh, why do you think that Chelsea has been getting these players like a Ziyech, like a Timo Werner for much less of a value than what the likes of City, the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Manchester United are getting? Because if I talk about the recent target which City has completed, which is Nathan Ake, and for a defender, City paying that much amount, and then Chelsea for a well-established a person who has been playing for Ajax, reached the semi-finals of the Champions League, reached the finals of the Europa League, has been so influential in their success. They've been signing such influential players based on our current market just for peanuts, I would say. So what do you think? What is different from a Chelsea transfer perspective? Because Chelsea, as a club, is owned by a billionaire, Roman Abramovich. So what are the key areas you feel that Chelsea are doing something really good, that their evaluation of the players and the players they are getting are not that escalated those amounts as compared to the other clubs like a Manchester United or a Manchester City?
See, I feel, sister, but what I feel is I feel that there are major, there are going to be two, three factors which I feel which are going to be there. The first factor which I feel is the management which is there, with Peter Cech being there. He has been in and around Chelsea and he's been a club legend. With Rampart being there, with the likes of the assistant managers, with Ashley Cole being there, a lot of people in and around the hierarchy which has had a younger who's played as a player and who knows the club inside out. So that person does have an influence. And I'll take, for example, at Liverpool. Now you've got Klopp there, and you've got Kara, even though he's a part of the Sky Sports team. But then he does play in terms of being an ardent supporter, and so is with United as well. A lot of outside support from the former players, which has been there. And currently I believe the assistant is correct. So obviously the kind of influence, number one. Number two, which I feel is the negotiation table. What happens behind closed doors? And I don't know. I cannot say about what happens behind closed doors at United, City, and Pool. But then the kind of information or the sources which I have and what they have been telling me, that Maria is a very, very hard taskmaster. She grabs the bull by its horns and takes it down. That's what I know of. So when the likes of Werner, or for the likes of when we talk about Ziyech at 35 million quid, it is cheap. It's dirt cheap in comparison to what. But then you also look at, if you also look at what Chelsea has done over a period of time, since the time Roman had taken over from 2003, they have spent money like water. So with the likes of with the likes of Shevchenko being at 50, 35, 40 million, Torres going at 50, not even on his prime, with
Yeah.
Falcao coming on loan. So there's been a lot of unnecessary expenditures, I'll say, which
Right.
I believe could have been avoided at that moment of time. I believe that time we had Michael Emenalo. Maybe he was not the best at that helm. I'll not, but he also did brilliant transfers at his own time. But then I believe Maria, being the close aide, she's of Roman. She does
Right.
play a big, big factor when she steps into the boardroom, because the aura she carries. And with a woman talking football, I believe the ball game slightly changes. That's what I feel of, and that's why the discussion behind boardrooms and behind closed doors for negotiations of players like Havertz, as Ziyech and Werner, these are certain factors I believe I have to credit Maria for what she's been achieving at Chelsea.
Right. And coming to the next point, and I think such a kind of a I would say, this thrifty approach which you guys have had in terms of the transfer market. So do you think that you're going to, especially if I talk from a Chelsea faithful perspective, and for all our viewers who are Chelsea fans, so do you think this kind of an approach into the transfer market can really continue around the goalkeeping issues with Chelsea? Because right now most of us have been hearing that right now Chelsea are targeting some marquee signings in terms of a goalkeeping position. Could be because they have actually floundered over the past few seasons, going back from Petr Cech. Once Petr Cech left, I think they didn't had a consolidated a good goalkeeping position. For some time it was actually taken over. But right now, I would say Kepa, he's not performing that well. So, do you think that Chelsea are going to break the bank for Atletico goalkeeper right now? We are
Uh,
hearing that.
yeah. So there are two, three. I was about to touch the point for the goalkeepers, and there are certain flaws which the Chelsea faithfuls have pointed out to me, especially and when we as fans, you and me as football fans, when we watch football, we do have certain floundering points which we do. It becomes more evident with Chelsea finishing fourth, and one of the worst defense which has been there over a period of time for a team finishing number four. So there are obviously doubts and questions which are being raised in the defensive line as well as for the goalkeeper. And like you rightly mentioned, Kepa, Chelsea had broken the bank for Kepa at somewhere around 70, 72 million pounds about a couple of seasons back. I believe that was a panic buy. At that more time when Kortai put in his transfer request and when Wall wanted to push his move towards Real Madrid. So Chelsea are looking at various transfers, especially marquee players. A couple of names which are there are in the market is Ter Stegen, number one. We've got Andre Onana, Ajax. But then it all depends who fits the bill. And I've also been hearing a lot of news coming out of Turkey that another goalkeeper, which is a brilliant goalkeeper, he's also in the transfer list for Frank Lampard and Maria. So we will have to see who comes in as number one. But I think that is for sure that Kepa Azarbilaga is not going to be a number one, or for that matter, a goalkeeper at Chelsea Football Club coming 2021 season. That is for sure.
Right. So do you think that because we've heard some rumors around Chelsea going for Dean Henderson as well? Do you think that that can materialize also in future?
I don't think so. But yes, it's the transfer market. We don't know what comes in, what goes out. But then yes, Chelsea are monitoring the move between Manchester United and Dean Henderson. So it all hinges on how is Manchester United going to be treating Dean Henderson? Are they going to give him a new improved contract? Because what I hear of, there's a reasonable increase in offer which Chelsea is offering him on a per weekly basis. And I don't know if Manchester United are going to be willing to sell their prized possession, who invariably will go on to become number one for England, if not now, somewhere down the line. So, do Manchester United think is it the right risk to take? We don't know. But then, as what I hear of, it is 1 out of 10 that Dean Henderson would be a Chelsea player next season.
Right. So final question, sister, and I think this is something based on your close sources in London. Do you still think that Chelsea are going to be as active in the transfer market as they were over the past few weeks, perhaps a month? Or do you think that the transfer business is already done and dusted for Chelsea for this summer window, and that they would be just looking to consolidate what they have?
Sister, there are a couple of things which I believe Chelsea Football Club are going to make it a point that they improve, because I believe Frank Lampard has handed a long list of targets to Maria and the team that he wants, and he wants, that means he's put a rubber stamp on them. Number one being Kai Havertz, being as an attacking midfielder up front. With ZH, we've got Mount, we've got Werner, we've got Ibrahim, And in reserves, I believe we will have Giroud being there at least for another season. We might sell off or loan off Michi Batshuayi. Chelsea might loan him off, or maybe sell him. I believe Crystal Palace or Everton are looking at him as of now. Then coming on to the holding midfielder position, I believe that Chelsea are pretty much sorted with N'Golo Kante being there. But then yes, he has been injury prone this season. He's not been up to the mark. But then who knows? I believe he's going to be up to the mark by the beginning of next season. He's taken ample amount of rest. He has certain underlying injuries. I believe the management and the physios have been taking care of it. That's what the news which is coming out. We've got Kovacic. Chelsea has Kovacic also over there, and we've got Jorginho. So Jorginho being a part of the team as well. But then there's a lot of news coming around. It was coming around right now. It's died down with Jorginho moving to Juventus, but with Maurizio Sarri being sacked by Juventus, I believe that news has just died down. Absolutely done and dusted as of now. So we have no news happening coming out of Juventus or the Chelsea Football Club of any possible transfer for Jorginho. We've got the defensive line, one of the weaker links, which I feel that Chelsea should improve. So there are a couple of targets which have been there, and there's a lot of news going around Ben Chilwell from Leicester City towards Chelsea. The asking price is pretty high, so I don't know what will happen. But then in the coming weeks, we should have a clearer picture. But yes, Chilwell is interested, but with Leicester moving into Europa League and losing out the top 4 spot, it won't be difficult, but it won't be easy either for Chelsea to target Chilwell. And with the price tag they're putting, I believe Chelsea can put their money elsewhere and find a better left back than what maybe Ben Chilwell would be. And also we've got Lewis Dunk from Brighton and Hove Albion, which has been coming. The news which has been coming that he is already signed for about 40 million quids. So we don't know. I don't have solid news coming in as of now in the defensive positions. But then yes, there are a lot of targets in the market. Falco from Ajax is also one of the possible targets. We've got Onana as the goalkeeper, and like I said, Ter Stegen, one of them. There are a lot of transfer activities which is happening inside the Stamford Bridge as well as in the Coburn facilities. So there are going to be a lot of ins and outs which we might see. We have seen the likes of Pedro and Willian leaving the club. Pedro going to Roma and Willian switching from the blue side to the red side of London. And we are also looking at a lot of news coming in for transfers happening somewhere in the mids as well. So there are players who would be leaving. Maybe I hear Zuma might be a surplus. I don't know. Zuma might be a transfer which is going out. I said Michi Batshuayi is out. We've got we have young lads coming in as well. We've got Billy Gilmore, but then unfortunately, I believe he's got an ACL injury, so he's out till at least mid of next season. So unless there's some miracle happening, we might not see him at least until the second half of the season. So Chelsea might hold on with Jorginho until winter transfer. Chelsea might hold on. So there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of movement which is happening inside the club at Chelsea. So Chelsea should be pretty good by the end of this, and they should be somewhere in the reckoning. And that's what I feel.
So I think exciting news for all our Chelsea faithful and all over the world, especially who are tuning in to understand what lies ahead in this summer transfer market for Chelsea. And as you correctly mentioned, since they are so much active right now, even after signing some of the marquee players already. So I think exciting times ahead for Chelsea and the blue half of London. Absolutely. So sister, it was an amazing conversation, and good to know all these facts from the key sources in London from you as always. And thanks viewers for tuning in, and we look forward to coming up with another session of Transfer Talks in our next video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye, sister.
Bye, sister. See you.